Chapter 23. When Samara exited her house, it was time for the rest of our plan. She paused, as she always did, to say hello, and Bongo, as she always did, said hello back. But this time, Bongo surprised Samara by landing on her shoulder and presenting her with a mangled piece of paper. Samara took it from Bongo. "This has Stephen's name on it. Why on earth do you have it?" "No way," Bongo said, by way of an answer. "Well, I'll be sure he gets this," Samara said. Bongo gave a little caw and headed back to me. Perfect. A simple plan, beautifully executed. Samara would give the homework to Stephen. They'd strike up a conversation about the crazy crow in the big oak tree. They'd laugh, they'd share, they'd realize they have a lot in common. Voila, friendship. It was a great plan, except for the part that came just seconds later, the part where Samir noticed a friend of Stephen's walking by. She dashed over and asked him to give Stephen the piece of paper. And that was that. Meddling isn't as easy as I thought it would be, I confessed to Bongo. Hey, I did my part. You were wonderful, I said. Well, we'll just have to try again. We don't have a lot of time. Red, Bongo said with a sigh. Please don't remind me. Chapter 24. That afternoon, we tried plan number 2. This isn't going to work, Red, Bongo said, strutting back and forth on the lawn. Pessimist, I said. Optimist, she replied. Secretly, I had my doubts, though. Our second plan required help from one of the babies. There had been much bickering over which baby would get to assist us. But then, there'd been plenty of bickering ever since Francesca's threat to cut me down. It frustrated me to see my residents, the one who miraculously been getting along so well, turn on one another when faced with a problem. Granted, it was a big problem, but if I could handle it, it seemed like the least they could do was behave during our last days together. Bongo flipped a penny she kept in her collection of treasures, and we arrived at our helper, the smallest baby possum, Flashlight. Let me get this straight, said Bongo. You're afraid of Flash. Shh, Harry Spiders hissed. We try not to say that word around him. So what do you actually call him? Agnes asked. He answers to Flash, Harry Spiders explained. Well, Flash, said Bongo, you understand the drill, right? You pretend to be dead. You guys are good at that, right? Flash nodded excitedly. Possums are the best dead pretenders in the world. So you play dead. Samara and Stephen see you as they're coming home from school. We're hoping they come home at about the same time today, I interrupted. And they freak out, Bongo continued. See the cute little, maybe dead baby. Talk about what to do. Are you certain this is safe? Asked Harry Spiders. I'm feeling a little faint just thinking about it. We'll all be watching, and Stephen and Samara are smart kids, I reassured her. They'll know not to touch a sick animal. So they go get their parents, call a wildlife rescue place, or maybe a vet. And while they're busy, Bongo continued, little Flash runs back to his den. Samara and Stephen come back out, have a good laugh about the vanishing possum. Maybe the parents even get to talking. I really think you would do a better job. Big U complained. She's a born actor. Or you. This has been officially decided, Bongo said firmly. We flipped the penny, remember? Just saying, Big U muttered. Down the street, the school dismissal bell rang. Places, everyone, Bongo urged. This is totally going to work, I said. This is totally going to fail, Bongo said at the very same instant. Chapter 25. And action, Bongo whispered. I'm like yelling it. Chapter 25. And action, Bongo whispered. Little Flash waddled out to the middle of the lawn. He lay down on his side and curled up. He closed his eyes. He drew back his lips, revealing tiny, needle-sharp teeth. Perfect, Bongo said. Try foaming at the mouth, dear, Harry Spiders called. Down the street, we could see Stephen approaching. Luckily, Samar just a few yards behind him. Flash leapt up. "How am I doing, Ma?" "Wonderfully, my baby," said Harry Spiders. "Mommy's so proud of her little bitty possum." "Be dead," Bongo cried. "Oh yeah," Flash shrugged. "Kind of forgot, Aunt Bongo." "I'm not your aunt," Bongo said. "I'm not even a member of your species." "Well, that doesn't really matter," I chided. "Be dead," Bongo cried again. Flash hiccuped. "Oh my," said Harry Spiders. "He does that when he's nervous." "How come I can't be dead, Mom?" asked Rose Petal. "Newbies, quiet," Bongo commanded. "Flash, stop hiccuping, dude." "Here they come," I whispered. "Stephen and Samar." The hiccups got louder. "Flashlight," Bongo said. "Now." "Don't call him that," his mother cried. Flashlight froze. He stopped hiccuping. Foam dripped from his mouth. His half-opened eyes were glazed and unseeing. "The works," Bongo whispered. "Brilliant." Stephen found Flash first. Samar was close behind. "What should we do?" Stephen asked. Success, I thought. They were actually talking to each other. "Don't touch it," said Samar. "It might be rabid. Or it could just plain dead. I read that possums will do that." "I'll go get my mom. Maybe she can call someone." "Sounds good," said Samar. To my disappointment, Stephen and Samar nodded at each other and promptly went into their separate houses. And once again, that was that. All that work for just a few moments of conversation? How exactly did people make friends? How hard could it be? Still, I reminded myself, Stephen and Samar had spoken to each other, and that was a good first step, wasn't it? "Flash," Bongo called. "Time to go back to your den, buddy," before they come back. Flash remained frozen in a little possum ball. "Flash," I called. "Flash, baby?" Harry Spiders yelled. "Oh my," said Big U. "You don't think your baby's acting?" "My baby, my precious Flash," cried Harry Spiders, and Flash's brothers and sisters began to wail. "You really should have used one of my U's," Big U said. "Flash, stop being dead," Bongo yelled. She hopped over to Flash and gently poked at him with her beak. "How dare you peck my son?" Harry Spiders yelled. "Flash, I'll save you, baby." Harry Spiders dashed out of her hollow, scrambled down my trunk, and promptly fainted. "Oh, great," said Bongo. "Just fantastic. Like mother, like son. What now, wise old tree?" "You grab Flash," I instructed. "Fresh baked bread and Big U. Can you rescue Harry Spiders? Pull her over to Fresh's den under the porch." Harry Spiders called my children boisterous, Big U said. Big U said my children stink, Fresh baked bread said. Over 2 centuries of life, and I'd hardly ever raise my voice. This was one of those times. "Now," I commanded, just as the door to Stephen's house opened. You'd be surprised how fast raccoons and skunks can be when they've been motivated. Chapter 26. Stephen and his mother eventually gave up trying to find the mysterious baby possum. Samar watched them from her living room window, but she didn't venture out. After about an hour, Harry Spiders and Flashlight woke up and returned on wobbly legs to their den. And that was that again. "Don't worry," I told Bongo. "Third time's a charm." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It's just something people say." "Charm?" Bongo sneered. "Do you know that's what people call a bunch of hummingbirds?" "No, actually?" "Hummingbirds, which, let's face it, are pretty much just overdressed flies. But a bunch of us crows together, guess what we get to be called?" "What?" A murder of crows. Can you believe it? A bunch of trees, you're a grove. A bunch of raccoons, a gaze. Bongo flapped her wings. But crows, we're a murder. "Are you quite finished?" I asked. "Sorry, I worried about you, and I get grumpy when I'm worried." Bongo plucked out a piece of new grass and tossed it aside. "I have one more plan to get Samar and Stephen talking," I said. "How about a plan to get you not turned into a picnic table?" "I can't control everything in life, Bongo," I said gently. "And if I could, what fun would that be? But this little thing, this wish of Samar's, I can make it happen." I hesitated. "At least I think I can. I don't understand why this matters so much to you. She reminds me of a little girl I knew a long time ago. You're a Budinsky, said Bongo wearily, but I love you anyway. She looked at me with something like the crow version of a smile, beak open, head cocked, eyes gleaming, and what's plan number 3?